Hello, digital educator, and welcome to this session about HyperDocs. So I have to say that if there's any one concept that has altered my view in my course of action when it comes to technology-rich instruction the most, it would have to be HyperDocs. And one book would be, backwards here, this one, the HyperDocs Handbook by Lisa Highfield, Kelly Hilton, and Sarah Landis. So before we can get started here, we have to actually show out what is a HyperDoc. And looking at the Google Infused Classroom site here with Holly Clark, she defines it as an interactive Google or Microsoft Word doc that changes the worksheet lecture method of delivering instruction. We think about Google Docs, we think about reports, we think about typing and letters. And when we think about slides, we think about slides being about presentations. This concept of a HyperDoc flips that on top of his head. So instead of it being about all by yourself and using it for these traditional means, it's about using these tools in manners that are much more beyond our basic belief and understanding of what they would be. So say for instance with a Google Doc, it's somewhere where we can put everything all in together and it acts as almost like your web quest, where all the steps are inside of there and it can put you off into different locations, and it's a real organizational tool. We'll see one of those here as an example here pretty quick. Or with the Google Slides presentation, changing it away, and the whole concept of slide deck now being less about the presentation and more about a space to be able to do work. The big concept is that we can use these tools for things like communication and for collaboration that you couldn't normally do with paper, to be able to have embedded items that you can create yourself to put in there and shared workspaces. The big thing that I want you to take away from HyperDoc though is that it is not a digital worksheet. If you're using it as a digital worksheet, it's not a HyperDoc. It has to incorporate these higher level elements that wouldn't be possible with paper. And so not in the substitution level of SAM or up in the higher ends, but especially focusing upon the ability to communicate and to collaborate with other peers and have a shared workspace in order to get these things done, especially also through the 5E method of planning for inquiry instruction. So to also help define what a HyperDoc is, I'm going to show you here some examples. And so this HyperDoc here is an example that comes from my time as a principal, St. Lawrence Central Elementary. You'll notice that it's laid out in this geometric pattern that looks kind of like an agenda. And so it has all the things for a lesson that's embedded inside of here. You see the actual agenda objective, the bell ringer. You notice that we have these different links that are going on here. HyperDoc can be really great for when you're gonna push a lesson out onto your LMS like Google Classroom, that it keeps all the links in one place and it has them in a sequential order, and the colors help to delineate different concepts as well too. And so instead of having 15 different links that are inside of there or choices, and it helps to explain the different links if you need to have choice that's embedded into your lesson in your document, this really helps along with that. So we have up to this point just basic how to get where it needs to go, but where the cool part comes in is that this shared doc that everyone had access to can then go ahead and type inside based upon what their team is responding to. Another example of a HyperDoc is one that you may have seen with our fall asynchronous professional development. And so what it is it acts more than just a slide deck. It acts as a place that you can receive information and that you can send it back in. You'll notice that the HyperDoc acts as like an organizational unit for the lesson. The entirety of the lesson is contained within inside of this, whether it be the staff meeting notes that I had showed you before, or for this one, it has all the parts of the lesson for this inside of this slide deck. So everything can be found right inside of here. But really what makes it pretty cool is when we get to things like this activation prompt that you can respond back inside of here. And we're gonna bump this up a notch here in a couple minutes about how to use multimodal response. We can embed videos that are inside of here. We can even put in our means of responding inside of a table. We have all the information that's coming through. Pretty self-contained lesson here, but instead of viewing it just as a presentation, it's now a place for us to do work, especially collaboratively. So this is the one we're going to make together. By the way, if you want to get some pretty cool Google Docs templates, just search for Google Docs templates, and there's lots of great ones that are online, easy to get to. So for this HyperDoc we're going to make together, it's a class check-in. We're going to use this as like a social, emotional kickoff as we're going to start off the year or the day. So we start off with the title slide, and then we have a direction slide. And after that point, this shared slide deck is going to be a place where everybody can get work done. So we see a bunch of blank, empty slides here. Let's go back to the directions. This person, the people that are filling it out, we want to figure out how they're doing for that day. And so each of you can have a slide deck to express how your day is going. And then it tells you the different ways that you can respond. You can have the old-fashioned way where you can take and type out words. You can take and put a text box in here and type things out. Another way that you can respond, as it states here, is to be able to draw and write on a piece of paper and snap a picture. So let's say this is a piece of paper, I can draw it out and then I can hold it up to the camera and then snap a picture and insert it. So how would we do that? My camera's not gonna work because I'm using it right now to talk to you. But you then can go to insert image. And if you want kids to be able to do this, you have to put them into situations, one where it is low risk, where it's something there's not a correct answer or an incorrect answer. And if you want it, you have to teach it. You have to teach your kids how to do it explicitly. So now if you want to insert that image, you have to go right here to camera, and it's going to snap a picture and it's going to stick it right in. So super cool. And the next way that kids can respond, as we're into these multimodal means of response, is you can record a video with the camera app. Every device has a different means of being able to record yourself, but they have a camera app that's embedded right inside of it, whether it's a Windows device, a Mac, a Chromebook. So the kid can then go ahead and record a video themselves. They get to their slide and they go to insert and then video. When you're at this point as well, you can find YouTube videos. Where the rub's going to be is once you record that video, you have to put it up on a Google Drive. So this is why, again, you have to teach kids how to do it, but it will allow them to respond with talking. This is awesome for assistive technology and universal design for learning, because we have one prompt that we want them to fill out, but multiple ways that they can respond based upon what suits them best. If they're a struggling writer, struggling reader, then they can use their voice to do that. And we should also know as well that we have audio that you can stick inside of here if you just want to talk it out. But the problem again with this is that you have to record it through some other means, put it to your Google Drive, and then upload it. Kids are great about these things. Pre-teach it, have them, show them how to do it, have the apps all set up, but give it as an option. And finally, you can go through and insert a picture that you found somewhere else. So if you go to image, and you can go to photos, which is if you're linked to your Google Photos, Drive, by URL. And this is where I'd go, and if I found a picture that I really liked, let's say Stammer chart, and I go to image, and then just any old one, right click, copy image address, and go back to the HyperDoc. I paste it inside of here. Not a valid URL. And then I can click insert and it'll show up in there. So one last cool hack that is pretty neat for HyperDocs especially we've created our learning space, our HyperDoc. We've given the opportunity to use multimodal senses in order to respond with for the prompt. But an organizational hack, if you go ahead and you get a Google Sheet here and you put student names in it, you can take, so long as you take more than one cell, because one cell does not work, you can copy it, go back over to our HyperDoc, and paste the student's name. So like, well, Jonathan, why couldn't I just insert a text box into it? Yeah, you could, but we want to link it to the spreadsheet. So since it's more than one cell, it's going to view it as a table. And so you can link it to the spreadsheet. And when we paste it now, we're going to see student 1, the student's name. I'm going to get rid of the lines here because I wanted to see that spare, clear box that's going on. But where the cool part is if you go back over to our spreadsheet here, or sheet, Google Sheet, and I change this to James. And I go back to my HyperDoc. If I click update, it now reflects what's inside of here. So if you want to go ahead and change the order of slides, which students are assigned to what, especially if you put the problems inside of here, different prompts. If you're going to do an online jigsaw or like a Iron Chef protocols, then you can change up who's assigned to what pretty easily. And so that's HyperDocs in a short period of time and with through some pretty easy examples.